Hey everybody. So today I am doing a little video that I'm really excited about. It's going to be a skincare and makeup routine for oily skin girls that want to look dewy. We don't always want to look matte, and I have some really good tips, I think, that I've tried on myself that have been working really well. I live in a humid climate, warm climate, so this makeup has lasted through those temperatures. And I think it really works. Sometimes I want to look like I just got done running a mile on the beach, so I don't want to look matte flat. So this makeup look is gonna be good. It's my favorite. It's almost like my everyday kind of get ready with me. So we're gonna get started with the skincare products first. So in the morning, I always do the same skincare routine. I first cleanse my face with the Free and Clear Liquid Cleanser. This is a good cleanser because it's not stripping, it's not drying, there's no harsh chemicals in it, no fragrances, no alcohols, nothing like that that's gonna make your skin dry. It just cleanses it from all the gunk and stuff from the night before. But this is tip number one, I guess, is this little scrubber. You can find these anywhere. They're at Walmart, Target, Amazon, anything like that. And it's just this little silicone scrubber. And I like using this in the morning because I think it just really softly, gently exfoliates any of the dead skin cells that are still on my skin. And I think that really helps just make the skin glowy, keep it from looking dull. So this is what I start off with in the morning. My next step is to go in with this beauty water from Sun & Park. And it's not a toner, like it says it's a beauty water. And there's ingredients in here that are gonna help gently exfoliate the skin, but also moisturize it at the same time. Typically a toner has alcohol in it or something that's really drying to the skin. And most people think, oh, I have oily skin, I need to dry my skin out. But actually that's gonna make the problem a lot worse. So this exfoliates and moisturizes at the same time while refining the pores. So I love going in with this to kind of just balance everything out on the skin. The next step in my skincare routine is this niacinamide and zinc serum from Revolution. I know The Ordinary makes one similar or basically the same. They have the same ingredients, but this is the only one they had at my Ulta. But I love going in with this. If you have oily skin, you would love this. Niacinamide, which is actually B3, it helps clear out any debris that is lodged into the pores. So that's really gonna, make your pores look smaller. Pores don't actually have muscles, so they don't get bigger or get smaller. If you clear out the pores, then they do look smaller because there isn't debris making them large, if that makes sense. So the niacinamide helps make your pores seem smaller, while the zinc is actually going to help balance the oil production in your skin. So it's going to reduce the oil production that you do have. So if you're starting with a good skincare that's gonna help reduce the oil, you're not gonna have to go in with a bunch of products that reduce oil. So I love this stuff, and it's helped a whole lot in my skincare routine and a lot with my acne. Of course, I have breakouts right now, but it's helped a lot with my acne around here because I'm not producing as much oil in those areas. Okay, I just applied this. This is the next step. It's my moisturizer. This is from the Sephora brand, and it's a hyaluronic acid moisturizer. And it's 96% natural, which I really like. There's not really any harsh chemicals in this. And I really like this moisturizer. It's a super basic moisturizer. It's not heavy, and hyaluronic acid is really good for oily skin because it's not gonna make you oily or greasy. It's just really gonna hydrate the skin. It's just super basic, but I love it in my skincare routine in the mornings. And the last step, I promise, in my skincare routine in the morning is sunscreen. Everybody says this is like the anti-aging secret. So I'm 23, I'm gonna take my precautions, and I'm gonna use sunscreen. This is Alba Botanica facial sunscreen. It's fragrance-free, SPF 30, hypoallergenic, it won't clog pores, no crazy ingredients, just a super basic sunscreen that's gonna help, protect you from the sun. But I think this is a really good key in this kind of dewy makeup look, because you know how sometimes sunscreen makes you look greasy? Well, it does that, and I think that sounds bad. You don't want to look greasy, but it adds a tackiness to the skin, and adds just I don't want to say oily because that's what we're trying to avoid, but it makes you look kind of wet and greasy. And since we're putting it on under our makeup, it's gonna look like we're kind of glowing from within, and you can kind of see. Let me put this all on real quick. You can kind of see how my skin went from kind of just looking like normal skin and it's kind of just like greasier looking. I don't want to say that because sometimes that's like taken badly, but it just makes the skin look super glowy, and it's kind of tacky, so that helps the makeup adhere to the face better. And I like using the sunscreen because I don't use primer. I've tried so many, I feel like, and they just don't work for me. They don't perform how I want them to. And so I think by going with just a really good skincare routine, that's acting as my primer anyways. So I'm gonna give you some recommendations for oily skin foundation. I have two that are my favorite, that I'm gonna try and true, that I love. The first one is this Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation, and the second one is the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This one is going to be your like medium, everyday kind of coverage. It's suitable for all skin types, and it's got a brightening complex. I don't know exactly what that brightening complex is, but it's really going to help brighten your skin and make you look refreshed, and kind of, it gives a satin look, so it's not going to be matte or extremely glowy on the skin. And I use this one more for daily use. Well, if I know I need to be in my makeup for a long time, or I'm going to be in a climate that, you know, I'm going to be sweating, I am going to be producing more oil, I will go in with the Estee Lauder Double Wear, because this is a full coverage foundation. And I know a lot of people don't like this foundation because it is so full coverage, but what I do is I go in with a damp sponge with this one, and it will kind of sheer it out and not make it so heavy or cakey. I do use a light application with this anyway, so the sponge will really help sheer it out. If you shear it out, you can build it back up. This one is more of a medium coverage, so I go in with a brush, and I will use, let me find my brush. I use the Real Techniques, what is this called? Expert Face Brush, because it's dense, and it's really going to provide the maximum coverage with this foundation, because it is just a medium, but you can definitely build it up to be a full coverage. And so I'm going to use this and show you guys what it looks like on the skin. It has a doe foot applicator, which I know some people don't like because they say it's unsanitary, which it probably is really, but it doesn't bother me. So I'll just go in, stripe it all on my face. So it kind of seems like I put a lot on, but it's not a super full coverage, so I'll be able to build it up. So what I'm doing with this foundation and this brush, I'm not going to be swiping the brush. I'm going to be patting it in or swirling it. This provides the maximum coverage. I feel like swiping like this kind of just smears it in. I'm going to get those brush strokes. So I feel like patting it in or buffing it in really gives me a good coverage for this foundation. Okay, so there's the first layer of the foundation done. I think it gives a nice amount of coverage for the first layer, but I'm going to add a little bit more to some kind of darker spots. I get a lot of acne scarring, pigmentation on my cheeks the most, so I'm just going to build up that coverage in those areas. Okay, so there is the second layer of foundation, and I'm happy with that coverage. I think it built up to be really nice, and you kind of see how it just gives a luminosity to the skin, and it's just really nice. I just love this foundation. This is probably like my fourth bottle I've purchased, and I switch out my colors depending on the season, so it's a tried and true, my daily foundation. So next we're gonna go in with concealer. I just went ahead and put my hair up because it was driving me crazy, but I have two concealer recommendations for you. The two I use the most are the Cloven Hallow concealer and this Revlon Candid concealer. These are both really good concealers. This one's gonna provide you more of a medium coverage. This is a more medium to full coverage. This one's gonna be more of a slippier one. Does that make slippier? Is that a word? A more, I don't know, it's not gonna be thick and gloopy, it just really glides over the skin, and it's really undetectable on the skin. And this one is gonna be more of a full coverage, but it's still fluid, so it's not gonna make you look like thick and cakey. And I like using this one specifically on blemishes because it's not gonna dry them out and make it look crusty. Both of these are really good for both of that. I think I want to show you the Candid one. I think we're gonna go with that one today. Well, let's see. I'm gonna do this one on my blemishes, and then I'm gonna use the Cloven Hallow one on my under eyes, and I'll show you how those both look. So the Candid one is just going on any spots that I want to cover, give some more coverage to. looks good. I don't want to overload them with product, just because that's when it starts to look cakey and kind of thick. This concealer is actually pretty much out. Hope I can scoop the most out of it. So I'm just gonna put a little like triangle, not really a triangle, right there, and then some on the outer corner, like scraping the bottom of this. I have another tube, but I just wanna make sure I use all of this up. So really where most people get dark is gonna be in this inner corner and out there on that corner. Bring it down a little bit. And I use a brush for my concealer as well. So I'm gonna go in with the skin first. And these are like 2 different shades. So I like both of them on my skin, but I think the Candid one is better for blemishes because it's not super brightening. So it just really conceals those blemishes. And both these concealers, they really just blend into the skin really nicely. And I will put on my eyelid to really conceal any darkness on my eyelid so the eyeshadow pops a little bit more, has a clean base. Again, I'm just doing that patting motion, just so I'm not swiping away any of the product. Concealer is done, and I'll get really close up here. It's really just really smooth on the skin. It doesn't look crepey. I think it looks good. Next tip I have, before I set all of this with powder, I'm actually gonna leave it unpowdered, untouched for 5 to 6 minutes, whatever you have, and just really let the foundation and the concealer just melt together, kind of get to react with all the skincare, the natural oils in my skin, just to really soak in too. So it's not just all sitting on top of my skin, it has time to really sink into my skin. And so it's not gonna be cakey looking once we put on the powder. I've let the concealer and the foundation sit on my skin for about 5 minutes. And so what I'm gonna do is we're gonna go in with powder now. So I have 2 options. In the summertime, I try to go with a more like finely milled powder just so it doesn't look cakey and really heavy on the skin because it's really hot in the summer, so we don't wanna be cakey. So I have 2 options for you. Let me blend out these creases real quick. Because the Clove and Hallow does crease a little bit, but once you have it set, it's not going to. Just because it is more of a hydrating concealer. The Candid one, really, I don't have any problems with creasing. So I have 2 options for you. I have the Pacifica Cherry Velvet Matte Translucent Setting Powder. And one I don't use all the time, but if I really, really want to look glowy, then it's the Honest Beauty Midnight Reflection Luminizing Glow Powder. So I thought this was a highlighter and I hated it when I first got it because it's like, this gives no highlighting effects. But it's actually like a setting powder, a luminizing powder, and it really is good at blurring. So I'm gonna use both of them today. The Pacific one is talc free, which I like because talc isn't that good for you. But it's so finely milled. It does have a fragrance, which I don't mind. It kind of smells like Kool-Aid. But if you don't like that, you probably wouldn't like this. I love the packaging of this. It comes with this little lid, and then it has a mesh sifter. So it's really easy to get the product out, and it just doesn't make a huge mess. But it's just so finely milled. It's almost like baby powder, and it just is almost undetectable on the skin. So I'm gonna take this Real Techniques contour brush, just because it's kind of dense, but it is fluffy. So I'm just gonna sweep that over the skin where I get the most oily or have the most large pores. So it's gonna be in this area. I just set the under eyes on my smile lines. And I'm just gonna, if there is excess just sitting on there, I'm just gonna leave it just so it has time to like melt into the skin as well. So I do get very oily on my cheeks. And just a little right here. I do want to leave some dewiness, some oil to the skin. And I don't powder my nose just because I like the look of it. I will powder my eyelids a little bit. Just with any excess that's on the brush. So I let that sit on the skin for a little bit. just kind of bounce it in. This just really locks in, but it's just so comfortable in the skin. It doesn't really feel like you're even wearing powder. And like I said, it's pretty undetectable in the skin. So then I'm gonna take a big fluffy brush and go in with the Honest Beauty luminizing powder. Just kind of swirl it in and just put that on the skin. Again, this is gonna lock in everything, but it's not gonna make it look flat, and it's gonna really blur. So I don't know if you can see, but it just really is good at blurring and giving a soft glow to the skin. So I'm just gonna put that anywhere. And once your oils come out through the day, you know, you will look a little bit glowier, but we do want to set everything, ensure everything's going to stay, even if we do get a little bit oily. So now we're going to go into eyeshadow. These are my two palettes that I use on the daily. The first one is the Honest Beauty eyeshadow palette. It's got some great colors in it. Then also this one that I really like, it's kind of a random one. This Physicians Formula little quad. I love the orange tones of the matte shades. Those are great for the crease. I love orange eyeshadow. I think it just complements my skin tone, my features, like my green eyes, my brownish hair. So I think orange is like my color. That's what I go for daily. And then I also go for this Ulta eyeshadow in the shade Whatevs. It's really pretty, like pearly champagne color. So I'm going to go in with the Physicians Formula Quad. This is in Classic Nude. And I'm just gonna mix these shadows together and just put that in my crease. And I will say both of these eyeshadow formulas, the Honest Beauty and this Physicians Formula, are gonna be powdery, but they give such good pigmentation and they blend so well. So I kind of bring that up just so it kind of lifts the eye. And I bring it from my outer crease to my inner crease. I think it just defines my eye shape. I'm probably doing this all wrong, but I think it looks good on me, so this is what I do almost daily. There we are with the crease blended. I love this Honest Beauty eyeshadow palette. It's got such pigmentation, and the shades I go in with the most are gonna be this matte brown, this purple shimmer, these two matte, this black and this matte brown, and sometimes these darker shimmers, but in this white shadow. So they're very opaque. The black and the brown are very dark, and I use this for my eyeliner, so I will show you that in a minute. But for the lid, I'm gonna go in with the matte white shade, the shader brush, and just put that where we didn't put the crease color. And this is such a bright white. It's not gonna be like white, but it's a nice like bone color to put on the lid. It's really just got a really nice brightening effect to it. You can kind of see how it just kind of makes that lid stand out a little bit more. And then I go in with the Ulta eyeshadow and I'll just put that on my finger. I like to use my finger for this shade just because I feel like it gives me the most pigmentation, and this shade is just so brightening for the eye. I think the key to this look is just make everything like bright and like fresh and glowy. It's not glittery, it's more of like a pearlescent shade, so you're not gonna have glitter all over your face. And sometimes like if I want like an intense highlight, I'll put this on my cheekbones on top of my highlighter, or on the nose is really pretty as well. So it just brings another bit of brightness. Just go with my crease brush again, make sure everything's blended. And then for the crease, I'm gonna go back into this Physicians Formula Quad, the little tapered blending brush, and go with the darker brown in this palette. It is a shimmery brown, which I think just looks great in the crease as well, just because it brings that glow to the eyes again, that focus, and just makes everything look radiant. So I'm just running this under my eye as well, just to give me a really defined look. So then I'm gonna go back in with my fluffy brush again. Everything just needs to be fluffy and blended. Even though this is kind of like more of a darker, like everyday eye, it just still looks really pretty. lastly, we're gonna do our eyeliner. I'm just gonna go with the black for my eyeliner. So I just take an angled brush, go into the black, and just do a little flick at the corner of my eye. And bring it halfway in. I don't bring it all the way in. And I've been doing this trick for years for eyeliner. I don't want to have to mess around with like a liquid or a pencil that might smudge on my face, and it's too complicated. So I've been doing this for a couple years, and it just like gives an effortless look, like a lived-in look, but it still gives some definition to the eye. Like 95% of the times my wings aren't gonna match, but that's okay. So that's the eyes done. We're gonna move on to mascara. I love this one for daily use. It's just a super simple mascara. I kind of have sensitive eyes, so ones that are like really volumizing or have like fibers in it just mess my eyes up, make them so itchy. But this one I found is really good. I've gone through about 3 tubes of it. It's the Burt's Bees Nourishing Mascara. It's 100% natural, so it's pretty safe for the eyes. And it's just a basic mascara. It's not gonna do anything crazy, which it's a day-to-day mascara. I don't need anything crazy. I think they have a waterproof version of this, but I just use the regular, and even with my oily skin, I don't find that it transfers on my under eye. Obviously, if I cry, like it's gonna come off. But I like not having a waterproof mascara, so I'm not having to like really tug at my eyes when I'm taking my makeup off at the end of the day. So I coat my lashes pretty good. It's more of, I guess, just a lengthening and separating mascara. It doesn't give a whole lot of volume. I think that's just a really pretty fluttery look. So that's the top lashes done. And I do apply it a little bit to the bottom as well. And you can kind of see how it's just really separating. I think it's pretty. Mascara is all on. Next, we're gonna go in with brows. I have 2 brow products again. The first one I'm gonna show you is the e.l.f. Wow Brow Gel, and this is, I think this is the brunette shade, deep brown actually. And it's got this awesome tiny little brush, so it's really gonna define the eyebrows. And it has actually, I don't know if you can see, has little fibers in it, so it really volumizes your eyebrows. And if I'm going for a really like fluffy, like modelly eyebrow, I would go in for that. But if I want my eyebrows to stay on, I use this. This is the Physicians Formula Brow Last. This is the shade medium brown. I hated this product when I first got it. It's like a liquid pomade, and the applicator is stupid. I hate it, but I really like the product. It's kind of like just like a paint stick with the product on it. But I have like a scar on my eyebrow, so sometimes my eyebrows can tend to go downward. So I found that this is really just soft, and it really is undetectable in the brows, but it stays until I wash it off, and it doesn't make them like crusty or anything like that. So I really just mainly just wipe a lot of the product off. See, like it's kind of messy just because it's so liquidy. It's gonna go in and define the brow. I start with the outer tail, just because it's where we want it to be the darkest. Do you see that? It'll come off, I promise. I want that to be the darkest. I don't want the front to be too dark. Dipped in the product once, and that is the brow. And I'm just gonna comb with it through the spoolie that's on the applicator. You know what? I'm gonna use the e.l.f. brow gel, just kind of show you guys as well. Just really combs through the brows. And you kind of see it just adds little fibers and just really volumizes the brows. It's actually really nice together. I've never used them together. So I'm gonna do the other brow, and then I'll come back and do the skin. Face products now. I like to do these after everything's done, just because I think the powder has had time to sink to the skin. Nothing's gonna move once I put my face products on. So I have 2 face options for bronzer. I have the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Forever Sunkissed. This is a really nice, super affordable option. It's not too orangey, not too cool. It's a great warmer tone, I guess. And it just really warms up the skin very nicely. And it stays on because it is like primer infused, so it doesn't, I don't find it blotchy at all. But a newer favorite is this Han Skincare Cosmetics. This is an all-natural brand in the bronzer Malibu, and it smells like cocoa powder. This is such a good tone on the skin. It's really just a neutral tone, and it just creates such good definition. I'm gonna go with the Eco Tools Fluffy Brush, just so it's not super defined, and I'm just gonna run it on my cheekbones. You see how like the difference? That's crazy. And I like this because I don't want a super defined line. Isn't that crazy how that just like really defined my cheekbones? I bring it a little closer to my mouth just so it really elongates. And you see when I talk how this right here, just gonna define that a little bit, and it just blends into the skin so nicely. On my forehead, under the chin, under the jaw, just to add that definition. Down the neck. And I love putting bronzer right under the lip right there, and it just adds a shadow under the lip so the lip looks like really pouty. I'll put this on my nose, down the sides, and just really kind of sloppy with it because we want it to look natural. I think I'm gonna go in with a little bit of the e.l.f. one just to kind of really warm up the skin. Because like I said, this one's a little bit more orangey. This one's more neutral for like contouring. All right, so that's the bronzer done. And for blush, this one has been so awesome. I love it for my skin tone. It's from Make is the brand. I think it's Make Cosmetics or something like that. I found it on Amazon. It's in the shade Bisque, and it's just the perfect like mix between coral, rosy, nude blush, and it's a matte blush. It's just, I don't know, I feel like it goes with like every eye look. It can pull a little bit more orange if you're wearing more of an orange eye, or it can be, you know, a little bit more pinky. It's just so pretty. It's just easy to work with. So I'm just bringing it up just because I really feel like that just really elongates my cheek. And I'm using the same brush just because any excess bronzer I think just mixes in well. I kind of go over the spots where I put bronzer, just kind of make it look a little bit more like Sunkissed. Okay, and so then I'm going to take the powder brush that I used that Honest Beauty powder with and just kind of tap over everything just so it's all blended. Last for the face is going to be highlighter, which is like my favorite part of this whole routine. I use this on the daily. This is the Essence Pure Nude Highlighter and Be My Highlight, and it's just the perfect highlighter shade for my skin tone. It's not too gold, it's not too white, it's just the perfect champagne color. So I'm going with the Real Techniques setting brush because it's really like fluffy, so it's not going to be too harsh. And I'm putting it on the high points of my cheekbones. I go on my brow bone, up my temple. And I love putting highlighter right here. I think it just adds so much like glow to the skin and really adds that as a focal point. And what I really like about this highlighter is it's not glittery, it's glowy. It's like $3 at Ulta. And I do have texture on my skin. I have pimples, I have acne, I have scarring, I have big pores. But I don't find, like I can even push it down here and I don't find that it's gonna, you know, really exaggerate that texture. Show you what's going on. It's just such a pretty highlighter. For lips, I have 3 products I'm gonna mention. The first 2 are gonna be lipsticks. I'm not a huge lipstick wearer. I don't like having to keep up with it throughout the day. I'm not gonna go with anything that's gonna, you know, move across my face, gonna be too fussy. If I can't put it on without a mirror, probably not gonna wear it. So 2 I have is gonna be this L'Oreal Color Riche in the shade Glossy Fawn. This is more of a balm texture. You're not going to get a whole lot of opacity, but it does have a good color payoff. The next lipstick is going to be this one from Color the World, and it's in the shade Coral Reef. So this one's more of like an orange coral, and this one's more of a nude. So this is the Color the World and Coral Reef. I want to get more of these Color the World lipsticks because they're made for more mature women in mind. So the formula is not going to feather on the lips. It's not going to settle into lines. And it almost has like a staining quality. So when I put it on the morning, it just kind of fades throughout the day and it just leaves like a nice stain behind. This next one is the L'Oreal Color Riche one in the Glossy Fawn. And these aren't going to be matte. These are more glossy. This one's definitely more of a balm texture. This one's more of a satin lipstick. But this Glossy Fawn color is just so comfortable. They're both really comfortable on the lips actually, but this Glossy Fawn, I think it's just like the perfect, you know, beigey nude for my skin tone. If I'm feeling like a gloss, I really like this e.l.f. tinted lip oil in Nude Kiss. You know, it's a lip oil, so it's gonna be really slippery, but it has a really nice color and it's just super glossy, really nourishing on the lips. If you do kind of go in with too much, it can become gloopy, but I just really do a light layer of that. So I'm going to go with the Glossy Fawn. This has just been a really big favorite of mine. And it's just like a no fuss, doesn't even look like you're wearing anything kind of lipstick. So that is the completed look. That's the skin up close, eyes. And you know, it's not perfect, it's sloppy, it's lived in, but I think that's really what adds to the whole look. It just makes it really pretty, effortless, like, oh yeah, I just put on makeup today. So that's my everyday glowy skin for oily girls. And I hope that some of these tips that I gave you are helpful. And if you try it, or if you have any tips, let me know. Bye. Baby, baby, baby.